Ready to begin? Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Councilman Hutchins, please.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity that we have to meet together. We just ask that you'll give us wisdom tonight as we work on the business of the city. Just guide us and direct us. Be with each of our service men and women as they're overseas, and just bring them home safely. And we just praise you and thank you. And I ask this in all of Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Don. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins.
Present.
Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Caton.
Present. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, we'll go to item 6, ceremonial matters. A's, APA, presentation of Central Section and State Awards. Michael, you want to address it real quick?
Good evening, Council. This is working, yeah. Good evening, Council and Mayors. I'm really happy to be here. I managed to make the drive over here and tried to get here at 6:30, but was running a little late. What I'm here tonight is, as you know, I'll introduce myself to everyone. My name is Ralph Cachadorian. I'm the American Planning Association California Chapter Central Section Director, representing the Cal Chapter. As many of you may or may not know, the American Planning Association is a nationwide planning organization of professional planners. And I represent the Central Section, which is comprised of 11 counties, including Tuolumne and Mariposa County, includes Inyo and Mono County, as well as everything from Stanislaus south to Kern County. So it's quite large, and as section director we have planners that are in every city and county and private individuals and consultants that are part of this group. And every year we have what we call planning awards, and these planning awards reflect different types of planning projects, whether it's an educational project, whether it's a plan itself, a general plan, a specific plan. It could be an individual, a journalist. There's a lot of different awards that reflect what a community or a planner or a planning department or any other department in a city or a county may want to put forward in terms of an award. Something that's notable, achievable, a plan that's implementable. That's what we always look for, something that's real. But a good plan. And tonight I'm here happily to present to you 2 recognition awards, one from the Central Section, which was done just this past September, as well as just recently with the state of California in a merit award. And with that I have this plaque, which is representative of the Central Section, actually calling out the 2012 Planning Implementation Section Award for Outstanding Planning for a Small Jurisdiction. And this has to do with your downtown revitalization plan. And on this plaque it also states that the jurors had commented it's a revitalization program that reflects collaborative efforts by the community and stakeholders in implementing a range of civic objectives and goals in a continuous and sustained manner that will enhance the economic vitality of the city. So the Central Section is very proud to present this award to the City of Newman for the efforts that you've done on your revitalization plan. This is the first one.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. On behalf of the Central Section. The second one was from the state. This one also is very similar. You can see it almost looks similar, except I think the Central Section is a little prettier. But this was an award of merit for the same type of project, for an outstanding project for a small jurisdiction. Small jurisdictions are typically, they claim under 100,000 population, so we have a lot of small jurisdictions throughout the Central Valley. But anyway, this is the award that was presented at the state conference in Rancho Mirage several weeks back, I guess. And I wanted to also present this to you. Congratulations on receiving the state recognition. This one competes against a lot of other sections and a lot of other cities. In California, I forgot to mention this, we have 8 sections, and we have over about 5,200 members. And we're probably about the largest chapter in the entire country in the state of California. So it's quite large. I think the central section alone at about 200 members, we're probably bigger than about 35 states for entire chapter membership. But this is pretty good. This is great. Congratulations. Congratulations to you, council, and your staff, both Stephanie and Mark. I really appreciate, the efforts that had gone into this, and that submittal was made, and that we recognize the award. Thank you again.
These awards are a result of a lot of hard work from councils prior to this council, our staff. Stephanie works very hard making sure that the city of Newman gets its recognition. Stephanie, thank you so much for your hard work and diligence. And Michael, you and your whole staff. This is a result of a team of city employees working hard to provide you with a better downtown, a better city of Newman. Thank you.
Very welcome. Congratulations. Thank you again.
Okay. We'll move on to item 7. Items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council, now is the time to do it. Please step to the podium, state your name, address. Seeing none, we'll move to item 8, consent calendar. A is waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions set by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of the October 23rd, 2012 regular meeting.
Move to accept the consent calendar as read.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 is public hearing. A is adopt resolution number 2012, next to number, resolution declaring the results of notice protest proceeding and approving certain actions for rates, fees, and charges for water services. Gardner?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The item for you tonight is consider a report on the proposed water utility rates. The water rates were last increased in 2008, and at that time did not provide for any capital repairs for the system. With the help of an ad hoc committee, the city was able to complete a 2012 water rate study, which included capital infrastructure improvements to address our aging infrastructure. Some of those improvements include water line repair and replacement, a new well, tank, and booster pump station to help increase the reliability of our water system.
Garner, can you lift your mic up, please?
Yes, sir. Our existing water rates, as you see here in the slide, is a comparison to our existing versus our future proposed water rates. The current water rate service charge is $10.90 for 400 cubic feet of water with no water replacement fee, or no meter replacement fee, excuse me. In addition to that, there is a consumption fee of 55 cents per 100 cubic feet above the 400 cubic units. The proposed rate includes a service charge of $13.54, a meter replacement fee of $1.07, and a 3-tiered consumption fee of 55 cents for the first 10 units, which is our average indoor water use. The second tier is 10.1 units to 44 units, 10.1 to 44 units for our average indoor plus our landscaping, and 50% above the landscaping use. And tier 3, which is over 4,400 cubic feet at 77 cents per 100 cubic feet. And I'll show you quickly this. This is how the blocks or tiers were put together. Block 1, this is our average indoor use. We took the highest 3 months consumption during the winter time, which is typically most of your indoor water use, and that's your 0 to 10 units. Then we took the highest 3 months in the summertime for our irrigation use and added 50% to that to come up to the 44 units for tier number 2 or block 2, as you see here. And then anything above the 44 units is a block for 3. So with that, we have here a comparison of the existing residential 5/8 meter, current meter over the entire year. Residential meter would use about 19 units or $19.33 on an average basis for 12 months. And in January 2013, they're proposing to go to $26.27, and in $28.99 and $32.09 for July of 2014. For commercial, for a 1-inch meter, the average usage right now is $23.19 per month. That would go to $29.83 and then $33.07 in July of 2013, and in July of 2014 would be $36.78.
Can you turn your volume up a little bit?
I'll try and speak louder, I'm sorry. In this slide here, we have I'm showing all of the rates for all of the classifications. It's kind of hard to read at this distance. This was also included in our notice that we mailed to all the residents and all the ratepayers within the city, and it shows all the classifications, all the meter sizes, and the dates of those are proposed to be implemented. Here's a comparison showing our neighboring communities with our typical residential water bill of 5/8 meter. And currently, we are the lowest within the region, within 12 neighboring agencies. With our proposed rates, we would move to third from lowest. I understand City of Turlock is currently moving to look at their water rates as well. For commercial, the same results. Currently, we are the lowest in our area. With the proposed rates, we will be the third lowest in our area. Water does provide for our health, safety, and fire protection, cooking, washing, landscaping, and is life-sustaining. One thing I need to make a note, there was a question regarding residents outside the city that have received our notice, and we want to make sure that it was overarching and make sure included every resident in there, and we use the Stanislaus County's assessor's rolls to do that, and it's sent to every Newman address, and sometimes it touches residents outside of that, so there's a few errors. Those ballots are not counted. We did not receive any of those. On July 24th, 2012, City Council adopted the 2012 rate study. The study analyzed the needs of the water utility account for the next 10 years. However, the recommendation of the study is to adopt the rates for the next 5 years. On August 28th, 2012, City Council authorized the initiation of the Proposition 218 proceedings for a proposed increase of the water rates, and on September 27th, 2012, those notices were mailed to the affected property owners. The City of Newman is required to follow Proposition 218 guidelines when increasing utility rates, and the proposition requires the city send a written utility notices by mail to the proposed fee or charge to each ratepayer. The written notice was distributed to both the ratepayers of record and the property owners and included the proposed amount of the rates, the reason for the fee and charge, the date and time of the location of the public hearing. A public hearing is required to be conducted not less than 45 days after the mailing of the notices, and if written protests against the fee or charge are presented by a majority of the identified parcel, the agency shall not impose a fee or charge. To date, we have received 32 written protests, and an up-to-date count will be provided at the end of the public hearing. At the conclusion of the public hearing, staff will tabulate the results and present them to City Council for their action. We do have some forms at the entry if somebody would like to file a written protest as of today. We have Terry Barquez and our City Treasurer here to accept those. You can give those to Ms. Barquez right here. And we will tabulate those at the end of the public hearing and present those findings to City Council. Staff recommends City Council conduct a public hearing and accept oral and written protests and close the required 45-day public comment period. Upon closing of the public hearing, staff and the City Treasurer will determine if a majority protest exists. If a majority protest does not exist, staff recommends City Council adopt the resolution declaring the results of a notice protest proceeding and approve certain rates and fees and charges for the water services. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them at this time.
Yeah, I have some questions. Okay,
Ma'am, we're gonna open a public hearing, then each speaker will get an opportunity to go up to the microphone and speak their comments.
Okay, before I open the public hearing, any questions or comments by council? Garner?
No, I just want to make sure that, I know I couldn't hear it very well, so we want to make sure that we can hear that mic.
Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to
Okay.
Bob in the back.
Okay, if there's no questions of the council, I'll open the public hearing, and now's the time for anybody to address the council. Please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record clearly.
Good evening. My name is Leroy McDonald. Stayed here in Newman. Been here for 7.5 years. And let me say this. I have a lot of respect for quite a few of you council members up here. I won't name no names, but I'll say this. For the 7.5 years I've been here, my water have been the worst water I've ever seen in the state of California. The water smells. And then I stay in one of your new developments, and this should not be happening in our home. The water stinks. We don't use the water. We don't drink the water. And I've even had people who've been here 30 years say they don't even drink the water. So what I'm going to propose is this. I know you have your consultant, and you have people that basically, that have, does studies here, I think we need an independent, person that will represent the residents of this community, that will do an independent study, and if they can't do that, I think we need to put together a class action lawsuit and go after the city.
Anybody else wish to address the council? Now it's time to do it. Please step to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Cindy Kimbrough. I live at 1336 and a half Q Street off the alleyway. I live on $800 a month. How are y'all gonna handle mine? You guys give a price break or what? Because it's in the name of the owners of the property, but it's my money spent, and I hardly make groceries, so how am I gonna make a wage increase? No one knows? That's what I thought.
You need to answer those questions because they can get breaks on the water.
And let me just remind you, if you're looking for a response from this council, we are not going to respond to your comment. We're here to listen to what you have to say, and our staff is here to listen as well, but we're not going to respond to your comments. So if you have questions of us, you're not going to get a response from us during this public hearing, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Tom Sumner, 518 Flour Mill. I'm not a CPA, but looking at some of this stuff, these figures that I come up with, I'm wondering what you people are going to do with all this money. There's approximately, from what I've found out, 3,100 homes in this town. $1 a home for a meter charge. At the end of the year, that's $39,000. You're going to go from a $10 a month meter fee, which we now have, to a $13.54 service charge. That's a $3 increase per home. That's, at the end of a year, $111,600 that's coming in. It's my understanding that you're going to do away with the four units of water that goes with the bill now. We're not going to get that. So what I understand is every time I walk over the kitchen sink and draw a glass of water or go to the restroom, flush the toilet, the cash register rings in this building. I've added things up here with your service charge, your consumption charge, which I haven't mentioned yet. I just guessed it at $5 a month per house, and that's probably not anywhere near what people are going to be charged, because currently in the summer when I water my lawn, I get a $5 consumption charge, $4 or $5 around there. So without the 4 units of water, like I said, every time I draw a glass of water, use the restroom, or take a shower, the meter goes around. So with just a minimum of a $5 consumption charge per residence, I come up with a figure of about $186,000 a year consumption charges. That's about $337,000 a year. Now, where's this money going to go? Is it going to go into a special fund, or is it just going to go into the general coffers and be, squandered away as whatever it's needed? So, what's the answer?
Sir, what I'll do is we're going to write down everybody's questions, and if you don't mind, at the end we'll take the opportunity to answer these questions.
Okay.
I'm going to answer them to you once every member of the public has an opportunity to speak. Yeah. Once everyone's done speaking, he'll close the public hearing, and then we'll try to respond to your questions here tonight.
Hi.
Lorna Sloan, 541 Flour Mill Drive, and he does not overwater his lawn. I can see it from my place. But my question is like his, in that I'm just wondering if these funds, are they available, do they go into the general fund? Are they precisely for the water development projects? Can they be borrowed against? I was just curious if those funds were protected for, for the water projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna.
Hello, my name's Alex Derbala. I live at 749 Black Mountain Lane. I came with intents to stand up here and speak. Convinced myself not to stand up and speak, but decided I would get up and speak anyways. I don't work up there, but to answer your question, it doesn't just go straight to the water. There's a portion of it that comes to all different departments. A portion of it came to buy this building right here, if I don't stand corrected. I understand how the Proposition 218 notification works. I find it disturbing that it's quite deceptive, and there's probably a majority of the people in town that don't know that the 4 units or 400 cubic feet of water are disappearing. It doesn't clearly state that in the letter sent. In fact, back in 2008, same letter here from 2008, when they went from 10 units or 1,000 cubic feet of water down to 400, didn't clearly state it in here either. It's I feel that you're preying on the naiveness of the general public, and I don't think it's fair. With all that in mind, the increase from 2008 was a 64% increase in rates. The increase in rates for 2013 alone is going to be 53.5% increase, given that you're taking away water and increasing the fees. You're increasing a fee, the regular standard service charge, approximately $3, and taking water away. Why not level it off? Why not keep it the same rate and take that water away? I'd rather you not take the water away, but it seems like it's going to happen anyways. To be able to get 50% of the general public to come in here or to write a letter of opposition, that's a big feat. So Proposition 218 definitely works in your favor, the city that is. Over the period of this 5-year change, your water rates are going to increase about 90%. I'm not sure if anybody's done the math or not, but that's quite a lot of percentage of money. Newman population isn't known for making a lot of money. As some other people here have spoke, that how are they going to afford their rates now? I just wish it would come out more clear. It was nice to have a letter sent out, but it should be more clear as to what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, council members. My name's Debbie Allen, and I live at 1520 S Street. I also own a rental at 1314 Merced Street. While I'm working now, I'm really concerned about what's going to happen in 5 years, because I'll be retired at that time and on a fixed income. I must tell you that it's not just the water rates when you add in the sewer and the garbage. The minimum rate right now is almost $63 a month, and that's only if you have a 60-gallon can, which I have. I don't know what it is with a 90-gallon can. It's a little bit more. So it's going to go up to almost $90 a month. Well, I can tell you right now at 63 that it is, in 9 of 12 months, it is higher than my PG&E bill. And I do struggle to pay that bill. I have to take it out of 2 paychecks. And I have a fairly decent job. I'm an county employee. And I also have a rental that I have to deal with. And I cannot afford to pay that bill out of my income. to the city of Newman, so therefore my tenants have to pay it, or I have to hope that they can pay it. And it's been hard to rent my rental because of that extra 60-something dollars a month. Plus, no one can afford to put the water in their name because it's $175 to do so, because most of these poor folks don't have water service somewhere else here in town. And so the landlords are stuck with these bills if the tenants can't or won't pay them. And I'm really concerned on what's going to happen to all us folks like Ms. Kimbrough, who are on even more limited income than I'm going to be, you know. And I can guarantee you, you think those foreclosure houses look bad? You're going to see a lot of dead yards in town, including mine, because right now, in order to water my lawn twice a week, I have to pay almost $80 a month city bill. I won't be able to do that when it's 90, because I won't be able to afford the extra $10 to water my yard. And I just spent, by the way, about $12,000 to redo my backyard. And I do have plants that are xerophytic up to a point, but they will need some water during this summertime. I've just dropped that money, and I might as well have flushed it down the toilet, to be honest, guys. But anyway, I do want you to know that I agree with these folks. The water quality, especially the alkali and stuff, it ruins all your appliances. We do need better water. And I spent all that money for landscaping and redoing my backyard, and all my plants are dying because there's too much salt in the water as well. And so I do agree that we do need better water. And I do agree that we probably do need to raise the rates somewhat. But I think it would be easier on us if we could do it over a longer period of time. And also, I think that people that meet certain income criteria, they should get some kind of break. I can't tell you what it would be, but I think it would be reasonable. I know if you're a certain age and a certain income, you can get a little bit off the sewer. I'm going to tell you guys, every penny counts when you've got $800 a month, or even if you're living on $1,500 a month. I'm going to retire. I'm going to have a mortgage payment until I'm almost 80. Well, that's not your guys' fault, but I mean, you know, you have all these expenses. And I just really think that, and the other question I have is, part of the money was going to go to build a water treatment plant. Where are you taking that water from? Because I don't think I want to drink water from the San Joaquin River. I'm sorry. So thanks a lot, and I hope that, I don't think there's enough people that protested, so I guess I'm going to be paying higher rates. But I know a lot of people that are going to have to sell their houses or lose them because they're not going to be able to pay the city bill. So, sorry.
Good evening. My name is Jorge Olivera. I live on 537 Crow Hill Drive. I have a question for the gentleman. I'm not sure what his title. Yes. Out of the funds that we're going to collect, how much is actually going for water?
All of it.
All of it?
Yeah.
Well, I went to the city website, and I see that the city manager receives 10% of the water. Okay.
Okay.
City clerk receives 15% of the water. Okay. And then I took a look at the budget, and there's some expenses on the budget that the city manager recommended for travel meetings for the city council. $10,000. Is that for each one of you? Travel and meetings? In '09, the money that was spent was $274. The budget for 2012, 2013 is $10,000. Where's that money going?
We can address that again. We will make attempts to answer everybody's questions.
Another thing, city manager, and I know in '09, he was receiving $19,335. Is that per year, a year, the salary? Or what are these numbers? $19,335. This is salaries and benefits. 2009, 2010. The actual 2012, 2013 budget, $57,000. That's a big chunk of change. And I understand the city clerk, I'm sorry, that's the city clerk. The city clerk makes all the paperwork and all that. And $19,000, I understand that's a little low. That's almost on the poverty level. But a jump from '09 to '12, $57,000. And again, that salary, city clerk salary, it says here, water and sewage, 15% comes from water. So what are we paying? Are we paying these travel expenses, meetings? I mean, in a time where there's a recession, '09 to '12, every city, every county that I know of is taking a pay cut. As I see, everybody here is taking not that much of a raise, but a raise. Okay? 1%, 2%. I took a 12% pay cut. I work for the county of Santa Clara. City of San Jose took a 16% pay cut. What is your share? Okay, so where's the money going? Are we really paying for water? Or are we paying for these, travel meetings, $10,000 per city council? Give me a break. Population is what, 10,000? Less? Yes, population, we're counting kids. Something to think about. I want to know when's the next council election. So I'm going to run.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, councils. My name is Teresa Anderson. I live at 1160 Stone Glen Drive in Newman. I just have some concerns because I see that you guys built the park over here for the community, and there was no park with the swimming pool for the kids out here. And that was, what, $1 or $2 million? And the water is still sitting nasty. Our roads are really nasty, and it's like nothing's being done. And those are my concerns because of, with my grandkids growing up in this community, they just see a crappy town. Nothing's being taken care of except for parks. Just to look at. It's nice to have nice things, but there's things that you need to spend it on. Proper drinking water for the families, for the kids. They're supposed to get their nutrients from that, and they can't because it's not right. You have these kids running around with nothing to do but just to swing at the swing set, but can't have any activities as far as swimming or having like a community park where everybody gets together and barbecues and swims and have a good time. All that's taken away, and then you wonder why the kids grow up and they're in gangs. I want more for my grandkids here, not to be running around with gangs or into drugs or anything else. And I agree the water needs to change, very much so, but there's a way of doing things. And spending money excessively over here downtown is ridiculous. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
My name is Karen Keys. I'm at 1536 Dutch Corner Drive in Newman. And I have a lot of the same questions everybody else has, but there's a couple other things that concern me about the Prop 218, the ballot process, the protest process. I remember what we went through with the last ballot was the lighting and landscaping, and the fact that that came out and it was an English-only ballot in a predominantly Portuguese and Hispanic community concerned me. And the same thing happened with this. It was English only. And I mean, I'm English only. I speak English only. I don't speak Portuguese or Spanish. But I just wonder how many other people didn't know what they were reading or couldn't decipher what they were reading. The other concern I had was I spoke to Mr. Garner Reynolds. I'm the one that you talked to on the phone about the zip code error. And I had talked to Don at the post office, and whether it was accidental or intentional, I have my own opinion. I believe it was intentional. All of those that mailed their protest ballots, I was told by the post office that they would go to the zip code that people copied from a document from the city, and which would be up by Edwards Air Force Base, which meant, it was going to take, it has to be rerouted back, and where it would end up, who knows. And I had said at the very least, I had asked you about the correction. Are you guys going to put something in the paper? Are you going to correct this or what? Because a lot of us some people who just move here, you ask them, okay, what's your zip code? When you go buy something, okay, what zip code? And you have to think, because some people will automatically give the zip code where they just came from, or they can't remember off the top of their head. And if you're from somebody from the city and you're telling them mail your notice or remittance or whatever it may be to this address, there are people who will copy down digit by digit, letter by letter, the address you're telling them to send it to. And I'm sure a lot of people sent it to the 93560, which is town by Edwards Air Force Base. And I'm just wondering, I had said that, because of what happened with the lighting and landscaping ballot, that a lot of people are skeptical about this. And if they find out that their protest ballots were diverted to somewhere up north, and odds are they're not going to see it for quite a while, I think at the very least, this vote, the counting of the ballots or the protest ballots, should be delayed to give these people the opportunity to try again to get their protests heard or send their ballots in. Because what came out in the paper this last Thursday, talking about this meeting tonight, not one thing was mentioned about it, about the diversion, the zip code, which you call the transposed numbers. But it just seemed kind of funny that all the zip codes, it was right on the whole notice, but this one particular spot where people were told to mail their protest to. But that's my opinion. But that wasn't mentioned at all in the newspaper Thursday. And those are my concerns. I don't believe that in a predominantly Portuguese and Hispanic community that you should do, I know we're supposed to be English only. At least everybody voted on that, the state and everything, but that's just not the case. In an ideal world, yeah, maybe, but that's not the case. There are a lot of Hispanic and Portuguese people, and then, putting things in fine print on the back of the ballot, which everybody's proven, everybody said that by the time people get through the first page, they aren't going to bother with the second page or the back of it. And so those are my concerns along with the rest of it. Why are we doing an English only protester ballot when we know better? And also, what's going to happen with all of the protest ballots or votes? People took the time to type up a letter and saying that they protested it and mailed it to the address that they trusted you to give them, and it's up there in Edwards Air Force Base area. Who knows where it is right now? But they didn't have enough time with the turnaround from there not enough turnaround time to get their ballots in, because obviously not everybody in Newman could show up in this little room. So those are my points, my concerns. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sure.
I just have a quick question as to who makes the rules about sending the protest and all that, because I made one so that the community could sign it, because most of the people here in Newman work. They're not retired, okay? They have kids, so this is what I did for them. Okay, now, when I dropped these off at a business, somebody from the city had gone in there and said that this was not valid. Well, and yeah, it's not a letter, it's just saying that I'm against the rate hike. And it's funny because I just made a copy of what the San Diego protest, exactly like the San Diego protest. And all they had to do is sign, put an address, and a name. So why is it that we have to come up with what? What do you guys require? A double space, 5-page letter, or what? I mean, parcel number, and that's it. But somebody, like I said, somebody in the city said that this was not valid. It's got signature, name, and address. So all the signatures that I turned in, are they going to be valid? Who makes up the rules here? Okay, because like I said, if it's good enough for San Diego, why is it not good enough for Newman? That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one more question.
Sure.
It was interesting because he brought that up, and I noticed I was reading in the ballot, or that letter that came out. I read something in there about a husband and wife. I think they called it a provisional ballot or something. A husband and a wife, if they decided, like, say I decided that I didn't want to have my name on one ballot with my husband's name, I could send in my own ballot, with my name on it and how I voted. So I have a question, how does that get counted? Does that get counted, let's say he votes yes and I vote no. How does that get counted? Or if we both vote, yeah, we're for it, or yeah, we're both against it, does that get counted as two, even though it's one parcel number? Because it was very difficult to figure that out in there. But I don't understand why you'd allow, it's one parcel, but you'd allow a husband and a wife to submit their own protests I didn't understand that. Because, there'll be some husband and wives disagree and say, well, I think we really need this. And his husband is saying, well, no, I don't want to pay it. So how do you count it? Do you count it as two votes or one?
Thank you.
My wife mentioned to me before I come up here, she said, Leroy, don't go up there and just keep your mouth shut and just listen. But I'm compelled. I'm really compelled to speak. Mayor Conchit, let me say this. If there's just one mistake that the city makes, then you're liable. So if the administration have made a mistake in terms of where those protest letters went, I don't care if it's just one. That's a mistake, and it should be ratified, and meaning that you should just discontinue in terms of this meeting and make sure that you hear the sentiment of this community before you move ahead with some type of rates. Because I don't think you're feeling the real true impact of what the people or this community is saying. Now, Michael and the rest of these guys who sit behind these desks send out this stuff in terms of trying to meet the public. It's not effective. So I said that to say this, is that you have the authority to put this thing off until you're able to hear the complete sentiment of this community. And I think it's just and right that you do it.
Thanks, Leroy.
There's a couple items in this letter I wrote to you people that I didn't bring up because I just didn't think of them. I lived in a house for 36 years. When I bought the house, the water meter was there. When I sold the house, the water meter was still there, working fine. And I have yet, in the 2 years that I've lived in this town, seen anybody out in front of my house or down the street putting in water meters. I mean, where do you guys get these, from China or something, that you got to replace them? I mean, I don't know. But then another important point that I wanted to bring up is, probably from my observations, half of the people in this town who work commute from 50 to 100 miles a day or more. They're buying gasoline at $3.50 to $4 a gallon. And many of them are struggling to keep their house payment afloat and not be repossessed by the bank. I'm not fortunate in that, I'm not in that position. But I know people in this town who are. And for you guys to lay a $15 to $20 a month water bill on them is atrocious. And then you have the senior citizen that lives in the town. I don't know how many are here, but this year, or starting January, I understand they're going to probably get all the $15 a month Social Security increase. Medicare was going to go up $7. Well, wow, that'll leave maybe $7 or $8 left, and you people want twice that much to pay their water bill. And there's many seniors who are having a difficult time to get by. And you shouldn't lay this on them, because in these times, they need the money to survive. And I don't think it's right. Fortunately, my wife and I are not in that position. And I'll guarantee, it matters not to you one way or the other, but if you people raise my water bill too high, I don't have to live in this town. I own my house. All I have to do is put a sign on it and goodbye. I own another one down here too. I can sell that one. But I don't think it's right for you people to lay this charge on these people in this town who are trying to survive driving 50 to 100 miles a day to go to work, and with the seniors who are struggling to get by too, who are living on minimums. So it's not right.
Hi, I live at 1148 Stone Glen Drive. I came from the Bay Area, and I did not ask the question about the water when I moved here. I was drinking the water, and I started getting really sick, and I was in the hospital constantly. Not only that, the water is so bad, it rusted out my dishwasher, and it's just, I have to buy water and ice, because I won't use the water here because I'm afraid of getting sick again. And so you're going to lay another amount of money on us besides all the water and ice I buy every year, and that adds up to quite a bit too. So I think he's right. I think you should wait and see what the people want. Because I can't afford more. I'm on a limited amount of money too. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sorry, here I am again.
Okay, gather your thoughts so you know, so we can get on.
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll try to be brief.
No problem.
But one of the things that is, like, since this recession hit, what I have noticed is that this is like, I think, the second time we've come up with the increase for water rates. I think the other time was in 2008, was it? And that's when I had the opportunity to talk to Michael Holland on the phone, and that's when I got laughed at on the phone because I went into telling him that, you know, the city wastes more water than any of us. I see it all the time. But, I mean, they would water outside on the other side of the wall there on Canal School Road, and before we had our landscaping and our things done in our yard, we had no irrigation in our yard, yet the water was coming 8 feet in to our property. You could see the dampness from the water from sprinkling on the other side of the wall, which the city was doing. So we've been talking about this, and what I've seen mainly is since this recession hit, we're talking, you know, water rates, we're talking your property tax bills, and I don't think a lot of people are thinking about, it seems like all of a sudden everybody's stealing from everybody else. The state, I guess, is stealing from local communities, stealing redevelopment fees and all this other stuff, you know, and so everybody's grabbing, gouging, and I see all this stuff appearing, and some of it, strangely enough, goes back to like 3 years ago, just pops up on your property tax bill and say, well, where'd that prop come from? You know, but don't have a clue. But all this stuff popping up on your property tax bill, your water bills going up and everything. And is anybody thinking about what's going to happen when the market turns around? The housing, it's not if it turns around, it's when it turns around, because I believe it will turn around. And our property's worth what, maybe, what is it, honey, $150,000 now? Which was over $400,000 a few years back. But when that turns around, and it will, then we're going to have another crisis on our hands. Because we're going to have everybody, they're going to defaulting on their property taxes. Because your property taxes, if you look at it, all of that stuff that's on there that's over and beyond of your property tax bill on your, you know, your property, your land, all that stuff that's added on, your bonds and everything, that's the rate, if you look at the multiplier, it's times $100,000. Okay, let's say you're at $150,000 now for your property, but when things turn around, then your property is going to be valued at 4 times what it is now. So you're going to be using that rate, but it's going to be 4 or 5 times what it is now. Everybody's saying, yay, my property tax bill's down. But everybody's jumping on the bandwagon and trying to find things to stick on your property tax bill. Well, let's put this bond on here. Let's put this bond on here. They got the money. They're not paying the property tax bill. It's down. So we get all this stuff on your property tax bill, all of these bonds and everything. I mean, we're paying ours, 2/3 of our property tax bill this time. Well, okay, I'll give you 1/4 of our property tax bill, was on bonds. So when all of this stuff, when the housing market turns around and our property value goes up, you're looking at property tax bills just for us. I'm not talking about the ones that have $500,000 homes, but the property taxes are going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year. Who's going to pay it? You're going to have another crisis on your hand. You're going to have people not being able to, I can pay my mortgage, but damn, I can't pay my property tax bill. So what are you going to do? Are you going to slap a lien on everybody and take their property? What are you going to do? People are not going to be able to pay their property tax bill because everybody's gouging. Let's put this on there. We need money for this. We need money for that. And it's all adding up. And I'm looking at, you know, I'm watching this this balance going on here. And here's my property taxes for my land and my home improvement. And then the other one is all the bonds and everything on there. And it's starting to, to where, when is it going to hit 50%? When is half of my property tax bill going to be in bonds only? School bonds, everything else. That's the next crisis. I'll tell you right now, I predict it, that's the next crisis. Nobody's going to be able to pay their property tax bill. Then where are you guys going to be? You aren't going to get money because the lighting and landscaping is in there on the property tax bill. And some are paying more than we are. They're paying $300 and $400, $500 a year. When the housing market turns around, the value of your property also is based on what you pay on those bonds. Because a lot of it is per $100,000 value of your property. So if your property value jumps 4 and 5 times, you go from $150,000 to all of a sudden we're back where we were a few years ago where our property was worth $450,000, we're screwed. Because there's no way we can pay that property tax bill. There's no way. That was just another thing I wanted to throw out there.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Well, I did want to say that I'm actually in favor of the rate increase, and it may be, one less chicken takeout dinner I have to do a month, as time goes by. But I understand you can't have the quality, without paying for it. And I was away from Newman for 35 years and was a resident very active in Fresno. And I watched the citizens turn down time, year after year after year, meters, and also city councils not have the courage, to make those hard decisions. And when they finally had to, it was astronomical. So I think that perhaps if it was better explained, because the increments seem so staggering as some of the people have done the math. And then also I think it would be helpful, for me at least, to understand what percentage the water and the infrastructure. I haven't looked at the budget for a while, but I would imagine it's a huge percentage of the maintenance and upkeep and all that goes into it. So perhaps it just needs to make a better case. But anyway, I'll still buy the meatloaf ticket. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Lorna. Anybody else? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to staff.
Mayor, if you'd like, I'll go ahead and I wrote down as many of the questions and thoughts that were coming from the audience, and I'm going to try to respond to most of those. You're correct. In 2008, there was a water rate increase. However, prior to that, it was, I believe, 1989 before there was an increase. And the rate increase in 2008, what we did was we took the CPI for each of those years since 1990 and then added the CPI on, and that's how they came to the 2008 rate. Is that better? Can everyone hear me better? I'm sorry about that. I'll just back up for 1 second. Again, 2008, there was a rate increase. Prior to 2008, the rate increase before that was 1989. So in 2008, what they did was they went back to the 1990 and took CPI, increased the 1989 rate. CPI is a Consumer's Price Index. It's a federal number that's attached to inflationary cost as prices increase. So they took, when they went forward a year in 1990, and then they did CPI up till 2008, and that's the rate that they came up with, I believe. Now, here we are in 2013, and we have done a study. As part of that study, it should be recognized that there was an ad hoc committee for which members of the community were involved. I know Mr. Maddenwall, I don't know if he's still here, was part of that. Mr. Honeywell, Kern Honeywell, who's a business owner. Yancey Lumber, he was a part of that committee. Who were the other members? Mr. Hutchins was the other community, was a member of the council that was on there. Because we wanted some members of we didn't want this just be staff working on it. There was actually members of the community who came forward and sat on that committee. And again, Mr. Maddenwall, who just stepped out, and Mr. Honeywell, who's a business owner, represented them. And so that's how they came up with the study that was recently passed by the council just a few minutes ago and helped set these rates at where they're at today. Now, understand that the water fund is an enterprise fund. And enterprise funds mean it can only be used for water. It cannot be used for general fund. It's not used for parks. It's not used for police services. What water goes in, or what income comes in, is generated just for water. What is transpiring now is the state of California has a lot of mandates on it. I don't think you understand the amount of testing that has to go through your drinking water for us to be able to provide it to you. The state requires testing all the time for bacteria and other constituents that may be in your water. Part of this rate also is going to trying to develop a new water source. We did an exploratory well out on the west side, and it's showing up that the water quality there is better than the water quality that you have now. And most of that is due to high salinity content. As you know, your water kind of tastes salty and it's very hard. So we found a potential water source on the west side out by the canal that is a better quality. It goes down deeper. Some of your wells, our wells right now are many years old, and they maybe go down about between 100 and 250 feet, and they're drawing water from different strata there. The new wells that we're anticipating will go down 400 to 500 feet deep. So we think that there's a better quality down there. So when we did the test hole, that's what it's showing, that the quality is going to be better down there. So part of what these rates are going for would be to develop a well. Understand, the well that you see over by Barrington that was built in 2005, 2006, that well cost almost $1 million to build. And the city didn't build it. A developer, private industry built it because they can build it cheaper than the city can build it. And it still cost $1 million to build that well. The other thing that you're seeing in these rates today is storage. Did you know the only storage you have in town is that water tower, about 75,000 gallons, 100,000 gallons? So what happens if a Sandy type event, Hurricane Sandy type event happens here? How are we going to generate enough storage to provide water to our residents over a long period of time? Part of what this rate would do is build a 1 million gallon storage tank so that we can have adequate fire protection, we can have an adequate supply for our residents on a public health and safety perspective.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I can interject. Have we ever not had enough water? Has there ever been a storage issue?
Excuse me, what,
Yeah,
excuse
like
me.
you guys had
Excuse
just-
me, excuse me, excuse me. Please let Michael continue to try to answer your questions. Let him answer your questions, and then we'll do the
Don't
best we
say
can.
that. You don't know me.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Please allow the city manager to answer the questions. Leroy, please. Please, Leroy.
I said, don't you mad dog me.
Excuse me.
Why would I do that?
Lieutenant Short.
Sorry about that. I just,
Okay.
look,
I just want to.
I want everyone to understand. Look.
Michael, just a minute. We allowed you to come up, state your cases, ask questions, and we told you that we'd answer those questions to the best of our ability. Please have the courtesy, allow our city manager to answer your questions. If you have a further question, then we'll allow you to ask that. But please don't interrupt. Let him answer.
I apologize.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Michael.
Let me just make it nice and clear. I've lived in this community for a decade. I've raised my family here. The majority of your employees that live in this community or work for this community live in this community. So we're going to be paying the same thing. I mean, we live here. We coach. We take care of the parks. We're just as invested into this community as everybody else is. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mr. Leroy, or Mr. McDonald, for saying that. I got a little emotional. So anyways, going back to where we're at here. I talked about it is a enterprise fund. It all goes to water. We talked about some of the state requirements that are put upon us with all the testing, all the certificates. energy costs. Everyone knows our electricity bills are all going up. Ours is not going up. I mean, to pump that water out of the ground takes electricity. We have to pay an electrical cost as well. I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. With respect to the lady that was on a fixed income, we do have reduced rates for fixed income residents in our community for sewer. We can actually look at maybe doing that for water as well. I was not aware that it didn't transfer to water, and that's my fault. We can look and see if we can make that jump in for fixed income and low income community members as well, to see if we can transpose the same program that's involved with sewer. It should be as well as involved for water as well. You know, part of the gentleman asked a lot of budgetary questions, and I can appreciate that. He did a lot of due diligence. We do have we're trying to be transparent with our budgets. That's why we put them online. What we have try to do in the last 5 years is try to look at how much of our time and energy is spent towards a specific thing. You know, I do have to work with the state. I do have to fill out forms, and so does the public works director with respect to water and sewer. So a portion of my salary, a portion of Mike's salary, and a portion of the finance director's salary, it all goes to, part of it comes out of water. You have to understand that if we don't collect enough water rates and we act at a surplus, where's that extra money come from? It comes from the general fund. And what does the general fund go to? It pays for your public safety, it pays for your police officers, it pays for your parks, it pays for your roads, it pays for the other things involved in there. So if we're not collecting enough water to cover our cost, then your general fund is subsidizing that fund. I'm sorry, I'm going over my notes real quick. I pretty much covered all the questions. Again, we're trying to improve the quality of the water. We understand that the quality is not great. You know, we're pulling from every community on the west side of the valley is experiencing the same type of water quality issues. It's not unique to Newman. It's a west side thing, and part of it is we get less rain, there's more water coming down on the east side, it flushes the system better, we have alkali soils. It's probably more than I need to know from a city manager's perspective. And again, just going back to the lady had a question, it is one parcel, one vote. And that's part of what the state requirements are on the Prop 218. And again, yeah, you did acknowledge it's hard to get a notice in everybody's language, so we do it in English, consistent with what California voted. It's an English language state, so we posted everything in English. So with that, Mayor, I can answer any other questions that I may not have
I
answered.
think I'm going to defer to Tom, have him try to answer.
I'll just kind of pick up where you left off on some of the legal issues on the one parcel, one vote. I think it gets to the question of the provisional ballot. And theoretically, you could have a half vote for and a half vote against per each parcel. The other question about who makes the rules, et cetera, the Prop 218 rules are embodied in the state constitution as a result of an initiative that was passed, like all those we voted on last week, same thing. This was back Prop 218. So this whole process is set forth in the state constitution. It was proposed by the anti-tax group, the Jarvis Gann folks that brought us Prop 13. So they're the ones that built in the safeguards regarding the voting procedures. Or proposed it, and the voters of California actually enacted it. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Anything else, Michael?
Not that I'm aware of, Mayor.
There was one question regarding the surface water supply that I know in my notes, someone asked where that would come from. Currently, we are planning for a surface
Mayor,
water
or Garner, can you put it closer to your mouth? There you go.
Can you hear me? Is that better?
No.
Yeah.
I'll try and talk a lot louder. Is that better?
Yes.
So there's a question regarding surface water supply and where that would come from. Currently, we are planning for that, but we're not implementing it. We are looking at the Delta Mendota Canal for the water supply, not the San Joaquin River. But that is pushed out. When we did the original water study, that was something that was included in it. But at this time, since we found hopefully a better source of water, better water quality, that we push that project out at least to the end of this rate study timeframe, which was 20 years, but we are going to do some planning. There we go. So hopefully that answers your question regarding surface water supply, but that is in our future at some point, but not in this rate study.
And-
Mr. Mayor,
and
if I can-
please understand that, sometimes tough decisions have to be made, and we all of us up here are faced with the same things you are. We don't get water breaks, we don't get breaks because we're on council and those kind of things. We have to absorb and pay those same as you. So, we have to take a serious look at it. And at some point in time, changes have got to be made in order for us to maintain and keep our water supply and our water wells, everything going. So understand, and these are not easy decisions to be made. So, a lot of thought goes into that. Sure.
I'm one person. I have no front yard, no backyard. I don't understand. Are they gonna change all the meters, then I just pay it for a fee like everyone else does? Or are we still gonna be charged by our amount of water we use?
Ma'am, you'll be charged by the amount of water you use. And actually, the new rate structure is to favor people that have similar situations as yours because you're only paying for the amount of water that you use and the minimal on that one. So, and again, what's happening is, just like everything has a lifespan, so do water meters. They become less accurate, and maybe you're getting overcharged or undercharged. They just become less accurate, and they have to be replaced over time. So at $1, I think a water meter is about $150. So you're actually putting about a 12-year life to 15-year life on a water meter. But if we don't collect that fee, what happens in the future? Do we take general fund monies to pay for those water meters? And if we have to replace 1,000 water meters at $125, $150 a piece? So that's why we're trying to build this in now to try to prevent that in the future.
Councilman Hutchins, just one second. Councilman Hutchins had a comment.
I just want to make a comment for those of you that weren't here 2 years ago. For surface water, when we looked at it originally, it was going to be $22 million. $22 million to bring surface water out of Delta Mendota. So when we looked at that 2 years ago, that was not a viable out of 3,100 or however many meters we had. I don't have that much money in my back pocket, I can guarantee you. So that is one of the reasons that we've started looking for new wells. We have found a new well. Believe me, I know. I've lived in Gustine and I've lived in Newman, and the hard water is the same in both of them, and I don't like either one of them. And that's one of the reasons we want to try to find some new avenues to get water, because if I talk to my wife, she won't even use the dishwasher. She washes everything by hand. So, and I hear about it every day.
Could I ask you a question?
Could you go up so we can get it up on so everybody can hear, please? Thank you.
Now, the gentleman there said that this money goes to the water fund. It can only be used for water. Now, in my 66 years of paying property taxes, I have found that all forms of government are alike. They will accumulate a fund, and then all of a sudden, they have a project and they borrow from that fund, but it never gets paid back. Now, you mentioned you had a fund. What's to protect this fund from being borrowed against and never paid back?
We have independent auditors that come in and audit all of our financials, not only the general fund, but our enterprise funds, our water fund, our sewer fund. So an independent party comes in, we open up our books, they look at the books, they do a full report. You can find a copy of those reports online on our website that talk about, and we do it every year. And in fact, the next report will be coming out in December. First meeting in December, our auditors will again be presenting those audits for the public to review and for the council to review.
I would just add too that the grand jury has added a special finance committee, and they're looking at these more and more all the time as well as a double check.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, on the funds that you guys keep mentioning, have you exhausted the funds when you purchased this building and built the $2 million park over here? Is that what's going on, why the water increased all of a sudden? Because when I last came to this meeting, it was on other issues as far as the garbage, the waste management. And now we're on the water subject, and still, when you guys were talking about waste management, the water was an issue too, and nothing had been done. So I'm just wondering, is that where the money went to, and now you're trying to get it out of the people? Is that what's going on, really? And what about the new homes? Are they going to have to purchase a new meter?
New homes, purchase a new meter. Yes, I'll be honest with you.
Why?
Water
They
people,
should have a
water
new meter already.
employees are housed in this building, and a portion of water funds was used for this building. Now, understand though, this building will pay for itself in 12 or 15 years, and then the water, it's all positive cash flow for those, for the water fund at that point.
I'm sorry, I really didn't want to get up again, but it seems the key of the night is to get up at least twice. I still feel there's some deception in all of the water rates do not go to water stuff only. In fact, some of it came to pay for this building, which we've gotten out in the open several times tonight, whether it pays for itself in the long run or not. Part of the water rates are going to that. Part of the water rates are going to pay for somebody's vehicle to drive home to Modesto every night and to pay for that gas of that vehicle. What's the point of that? Nobody pays my gas to get to work. Nobody gives me a car to get to work. I'd love to drive to work for free every day. That'd be great. Well, not for free. It would be thanks to all of you. Now, I'm not going to mention any names or point anyone out, but another thing that was said is the majority of the people are in the community, and they have the same feelings. Can I see by a show of hands up here how many people actually live in Newman? Up here.
We have to live here.
Oh, council members do. That's all fine and dandy. There are other people that are not council members that are up here.
There's 2 members up there, out of all the ones that are up here, only 2 do not live in this community.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Michael? Okay. Excuse me.
Somebody's going to have to address this 93560. It's got to be addressed.
Michael, can you talk about the zip code issue?
The notice that went out had 2 numbers that were transposed. Instead of 95360, it was the 5 and the 3 were transposed in 2 locations. We sent out, we spoke with our legal city attorney as well as our Prop 218 specialist. They said if you to send out a postcard correcting that measure, and that's what we did.
My question on that, though, was when was that postcard sent out?
That notice was sent out, right,
Well,
last,
I'm asking the question.
that notice was sent out Wednesday is when the mail went out, so it arrived probably Fridays and Saturday.
It went out Wednesday of last week.
Yes, sir.
Tom?
Well, obviously, if we received, once we get that mail, and we'll eventually get that, if that would show a majority protest, then you'd obviously have to go back and rescind the action.
That's my question.
So that would be the legal result.
Okay. Anything else, Michael?
No, Mayor.
Garner, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, do we have the count?
We still need to do our tabulation. We have our city treasurer here and our staff to do that now.
Can we get that done?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Can we take it, Bertie?
Yeah, how about we just take about a 5-minute break real quick? All right?
How are you doing?
Good, how are you? How's things going?
Good. I feel huge. I guess I'm nowhere near the huge part. You know, someone just told me, you're getting really big, and I'm like, but Hector's sweet. He's off. From the back, you can't tell. I still have a waist. It's just going out this way, which I'm glad. I guess because my height's on my side, I've got a little more room.
Yeah.
It's going good, though. I can feel it moving around now. It's good.
Yes, after listening to all of you, thank you very much for all of your comments. One of the major concerns that you brought up was the mistake with the zip code. And so I'm going to make a motion that we resend the protest letters out with the proper zip code to all the parcel owners, and I guess we have to say we restart our 45-day process for protest votes.
Yeah, we will initiate the new protest hearing process, given another 45 days for people to send in their letters and provide their protest.
I second that motion. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. All right, we'll go to item B, adopt resolution number 2000, I'm sorry. Sure. Yeah, get the new letters.
It's exactly what's in the protest, the letter that you get is saying, yeah.
Bob, is there an issue?
It's separate.
You have no sound? Excuse me.
Yes, okay, I've got mine.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Debbie? Okay. All right. We'll go to item B, adopt resolution number 2012, next to number resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4. Lieutenant Short.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Tonight we have some property abatements, property maintenance issues. Maintenance notices were sent to several properties in accordance with ordinance 95-4. The notice informs property owners of the nuisance abatement procedures and their right to object to the public hearing here tonight. As of Monday, there was 2 properties that had not complied. Those are 632 Rodeo Grounds and 1573 Canyon Creek. Both of these properties have weeds in the front and backyards. They're more than likely foreclosure properties, and the yards have not been maintained. That one right there, that is a public nuisance. It can have feral cats and rats and mice, and also a fire danger should it continue to be dry like that. Those are the 2 that have not complied as of Monday, so we need to consider those a public nuisance. I have nothing further. If you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions, Lieutenant Short, before I open the public hearing?
No.
Public hearing is now open. Anybody wish to address the council regarding this? Sir, could you please step to the podium so we can hear? Take your name.
My name is Scott Quillen. I live at 1266 Duck Line Circle. Not that I'm against this, what is the legal authority of Newman, City of Newman, and the Newman Police Department to do abate or whatever you're going to do to that property?
Legal authority is outlined in the municipal code, and it goes to authority to abate those applications. The council decided there are prohibitions, they put it out, and then possibly.
And if they don't pay for that?
Lieutenant Short, we have
I was just going to add, and that authority in the code comes from state law.
From state law. So you could seize their property, or what's the limit?
Sir, the lien would be put on the taxes, and then ultimately when the taxes are paid, the city would...
On their property tax?
On their property tax. The lien would be put on the property tax, and then at the time the property taxes are paid, then the money would be paid. Also, you should keep in mind, we don't go straight to this process. No less than 3 notices are sent to the property owner before it gets to the process.
Okay, I just want to make it clear, I'm not against this, I just want to know what the process is. Thank you.
Thank you for asking. Okay, if there's no other...
No, I don't think so.
Public hearing is open. Lost track, I'm sorry, I apologize. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for direction.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2012, next number. A resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Item C, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2012, next in number, an ordinance amending Title 8 and Title 11 relating to utility billing. Lou?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Newman City Council. At our October 23rd council meeting, we held the introduction of this ordinance. Basically, it's three parts to it. One is, in addition to the misdemeanor charge, adding the administrative citations as an alternative charge to our utility bills. The application fee is limited for landowners to a single time per fiscal year per lot. And then also any damages to city assets located on private property would be ultimate responsibility of the homeowner. Tonight we just need to conduct a public hearing and adopt the ordinance, and then authorize staff to publish a summarized version of the ordinance. We have to answer any questions you have.
Any questions of Lou? Okay, open the public hearing. Any wish to address council? Seeing none, close public hearing. Sure. Could you go to the podium, please?
I wasn't following that as far as somebody vacating their premises from due to bankruptcy or foreclosure or something. I didn't follow.
You know, what it is there's three things we are changing on the city ordinances with regard to utilities. The first one is that currently for any violations of the city ordinance for misdemeanor charges, we're adding the administrative citation as an alternative method for collecting and for charging for penalties. The application fee for every time you sign up is $25. We're limiting that to for landlords who sometimes have to flip properties back and forth during the current year. Instead of every time having to have them pay that, we're limiting it to one time per year per lot that they own, so that if they do get those heavy turnovers, they don't have to pay it once for that year. And then the last one is for any assets that are located, city assets that are located on private property, like our meters, that if they are damaged by either the homeowner or by the tenant that's there, that initially we're going to be charging the tenant for those, but if the tenant doesn't pay that, eventually it would fall onto the homeowner to be responsible.
What if it gets vandalized by vandalism?
We haven't seen any cases where somebody would go to a neighbor and vandalize their meter. Usually it
Yeah,
would be
but there's a
something after
possibility.
the-
That's why I was asking.
Very rare. And even in the case of meters being damaged, it is a very, very small amount of times that it happens in the community. We're lucky with that.
Yeah. Well, I just figured I'd ask.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll close public hearing, bring it back to council for direction.
I'll make a motion that we accept reading ordinance 2012 next to number amending data period chapters of Title 8 and Title 11 relating to utility billing and authorizing staff to publish and prepare a summary of the ordinance.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 10, regular business. Supervisor's not here, so we'll go skip item 11, go to item 12, items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder, tomorrow night is the Quasti Centennial Planning Committee meeting at 6 p.m. and that will be in the community room, for which we've been meeting for the last several months. This month, Planning Commission meeting is canceled. However, we are expecting a meeting in December for that at this point in time. City offices will be closed for Thanksgiving. Just let the public know that we will be there, as well as the next city council meeting on November 27th. There was a copy of the demur. I did bring a copy of that. If you had any questions, you can talk to Tom about that. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory and what that is and why we filed the demur. I thought they did a really good job of presenting the city's case. And that's how we saw it, and I think they did an excellent job of making that case in the demur. And then lastly,
Stephanie?
Just wanted to mention before you, there are some buttons courtesy of Tom and Barbara Powell and on observance of the 125th celebration, tying in with a reminder that our female disabled technology. Also, the committee's gearing up for the work fundraiser on January 14th. Those proceeds will be going to help with festivities during County 35th celebration. That's all I have.
Thank you. Luke?
Mayor, I completed a real quick analysis of the city's revenues and expenditures in our general fund for the first quarter. As usual, at this point in the year, many of the major revenues are still outstanding. Property tax receipts on the assessment roll are predicted to come in at 2.95% decline over the prior year. We budgeted a 1.2% decline, but we'll see how they turn out when we actually start receiving monies in December. At this point, we've only received 2 sales tax distributions, and our motor vehicle license, DLF swap money hasn't come in yet, so on revenues, we're still kind of outstanding. Expenditure-wise, payroll, we're coming in under budget on expenditures for those, and also maintenance and operations. The way things are continuing to trend, we should improve or come in better than what we originally budgeted. Again, since a lot of revenues are still outstanding, we'll have a better view mid-year.
Thank you. Connor, anything? All right. Okay, council members, Nick?
Nothing tonight.
Bob?
I would just like to comment, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Sometimes we don't like to hear the things you say, but we need to know. But anyway, thank you so much.
Don?
I know Ken has already left, but we had the Veterans Day parade and presentation, and Justine, which, as you know, was both Newman and Justine's gift having been American Legion on Sunday, Veterans Day. We had a great turnout, and I was honored to do the master of ceremonies for that, and it was great to see everybody there.
And unfortunately, I missed, I was in the Bay Area and I couldn't get back in time, so I missed that. Alberto?
I don't have anything tonight.
Just a couple things. I'd like to echo Bob's comments. Appreciate everybody coming out, and community involvement is what we like to see. And again, sometimes hard decisions are made. It's not always what everybody wants to hear, but we need to keep the city moving forward. Your involvement means a lot, and your voices need to be heard. So I appreciate everybody coming out and speaking and giving us your input. So appreciate it. And least but not last, I want to thank staff again. The award that the city receives is not anything that we do as council members. We have a great staff that works hard, and definitely appreciate your tenacity in getting repetitions out and seeing that Newman is recognized for the great things that the city does. And the plaza in the downtown area is something certainly to be proud of, and we as councilors are very proud, and staff is proud, and we appreciate the hard work that staff does.
It's a group effort.
Okay. With that, we're adjourned.